Mom, turn everything off right now. Get to the attic, lock the door, and whatever you do, do not tell your son-in-law, I mean it. My heart jumped at the sound of my oldest son's voice on the phone. It was just after midnight, and his whisper felt sharp, like something was pressing against his throat. Ryan, you're scaring me, I said, my hand shaking as I held the phone tighter. What is going on? Why are you talking like this? Just do it, Mom, please, I'm not playing. Turn off the lights, go upstairs to the attic, lock the door behind you and stay quiet. Do not say a word to Mark. I'll explain when I can. I stood frozen in my kitchen, the only light coming from the microwave clock. Ryan had never spoken to me like this in his 32 years. He worked for the FBI, yes, but he was still my boy. The one who used to bring me coffee on Sunday mornings and tease me about burning the toast. Now his voice carried a fear I had never heard before. Okay, I whispered back, my throat tight. I'm going, but Ryan, tell me you're safe. There was a short pause. I could hear him breathing hard. I love you, Mom, just get to the attic, now. The line went dead. My legs felt heavy as I moved through the dark house. I turned off the kitchen light, then the hallway lamp. The old wooden stairs creaked under my feet as I climbed to the second floor. Mark, my son-in-law, was sleeping in the guest room down the hall. He had been staying with me for the past week while my daughter Sarah was away on a work trip. At least that was what they told me. I reached the narrow attic door at the end of the upstairs hallway. My hands were slippery with sweat as I turned the old brass knob. The attic smelled of dust and old cardboard boxes. I stepped inside, closed the door softly and turned the lock. The click sounded too loud in the silence. I sat down on an old wooden chair near the small window, my heart still racing. What could make Ryan sound so desperate? He had always been the steady one in the family, the one who kept his cool even when his father left us 20 years ago. Now he was telling me to hide from Mark, my own son-in-law. Mark had married my daughter Sarah 5 years ago. He was charming, successful in real estate, always quick with a joke and a hug. Sarah seemed happy, or at least I thought she was. Lately she had been quiet, distant, spending more time at the office. She said it was just work stress. I believed her because mothers want to believe their children are okay. I pulled my knees up to my chest and waited in the dark. Minutes passed, maybe 10, maybe 20, then I heard footsteps downstairs, slow, careful footsteps moving through the living room. Mark was awake. I held my breath. The footsteps stopped at the bottom of the stairs. I could picture him standing there listening. Then they started climbing. 1 step, 2, 3, each creak made my stomach twist. Why was he up? Had he heard me on the phone? Ryan had been so clear, do not tell your son-in-law. The way he said it made it sound like Mark was dangerous. But that couldn't be right. Mark had always been good to us. He helped fix the leaky roof last summer. He brought groceries when I was sick. He called me Mom. Still, Ryan's voice echoed in my head, just do it. I moved quietly toward the center of the attic, away from the door. My foot bumped into an old trunk. I knelt down and opened it slowly, hoping the hinges wouldn't squeak. Inside were old photo albums, baby clothes from when Ryan and Sarah were little, and a stack of letters tied with string. My late husband's handwriting on the top envelope made my chest ache for a moment. But I didn't have time for memories. I lowered myself to the dusty floor and lay flat on my stomach. There was a narrow crack between 2 floorboards right above the guest room where Mark had been sleeping. I pressed my eye to the gap. At first I saw nothing but darkness, then a soft light clicked on below. Mark was in the room moving around. He wasn't in pajamas anymore. He wore dark jeans and a black jacket. He looked different, tenser. His usual easy smile was gone. He picked up his phone and dialed a number. His voice came through clearly enough for me to hear. Yeah, it's me. She's still asleep, I think. No, she doesn't suspect anything. But Ryan called her tonight. I heard voices. I need to know what he told her. My blood turned cold. Mark paused, listening to the person on the other end. I told you I would handle it. Sarah doesn't know the full story either. If she finds out what really happened with her father's money, everything falls apart. Just keep Ryan away from here. I don't care how you do it. He hung up and stood still for a moment, staring at the floor. Then he looked up toward the ceiling, right in my direction. For one terrifying second I thought he could see me through the crack. He whispered something I couldn't quite hear, but it sounded like a name. Sarah. Then he turned off the light and left the room. I stayed pressed to the floor, my mind spinning. What money? What did Mark mean about my late husband's money? And why was Ryan warning me to stay away from him? Tears burned my eyes as old memories rushed in. My husband David had died suddenly 10 years ago in a car accident. The insurance money and his savings had helped me keep the house. Sarah and Ryan had both received a share too, though Ryan used most of his for college and training. Mark had never mentioned any money before. But now, lying there in the dusty attic, I realized something deep and painful was hidden in my own family. Something Ryan knew, something Mark was desperate to keep secret. And I had just become part of it. I stayed perfectly still, heart hammering, wondering if I had made a terrible mistake by trusting the wrong person all these years. Then I heard the attic door handle rattle softly from the outside. Someone was trying to open it. The attic door handle rattled again, soft but insistent, like someone testing if it would give way. I held my breath so tightly my chest burned. My body pressed flat against the dusty floorboards, I still glued to that narrow crack. Below me the guest room light stayed off, but I could hear movement in the hallway now, slow and deliberate. "Ellen," Mark's voice came through the door, low and careful, the same warm tone he always used when he called me Mom. "You up there? I thought I heard something. You okay?" I didn't answer. Ryan's words rang louder than ever in my head. "Do not tell your son-in-law, just do it." My son had risked calling me at midnight from wherever he was, his voice tight with real fear. I wasn't about to break that trust now, no matter how normal Mark sounded. The handle turned again, harder this time. The old lock held, but the wood around it creaked. I could picture Mark standing there in the dark hallway, his ear pressed close, listening for any sound that would give me away. My mind raced back to all the family dinners where he had sat at the head of the table, laughing at Sarah's jokes, helping me clear the dishes, asking about my garden. He had been part of us for 5 years. How could the man who fixed my fence last spring now feel like a stranger trying to break in? "Ellen, if you're in there, just say something. I'm worried. Sarah would kill me if anything happened to you while she's gone." His voice carried that gentle concern I had always trusted, but the phone call I had overheard changed everything. He had spoken about my husband David's money like it was something dirty, something that could make the whole family fall apart. What did Mark know that I did, and why was he so afraid of Ryan finding out? I stayed silent, my fingers digging into the rough wood. Sweat trickled down my back even though the attic was cool. Memories flooded in, warm ones that now felt poisoned. Last Christmas, Mark had surprised me with a new coat because he noticed mine was getting thin. He had hugged me tight and said, "You're the best mother-in-law a guy could ask for." Sarah had smiled from across the room, her eyes soft. Had that all been a lie too? The rattling stopped. Footsteps moved away down the hallway, then paused. I heard the stairs creak as he went downstairs. Relief washed over me for a second, but it didn't last. What if he was just pretending to leave? What if he was waiting at the bottom, listening for me to move? I pushed myself up slowly, every joint aching from lying so still. The attic was pitch black except for a sliver of moonlight coming through the small window. I made my way to the far corner, stepping carefully over boxes of old baby clothes and Ryan's childhood baseball trophies. My hands found the old trunk again. I opened it as quietly as I could and pulled out one of the photo albums. Sitting cross-legged on the floor, I flipped through the pages by feel more than sight. There was baby Ryan with his wide grin missing front teeth, Sarah as a toddler clinging to my leg, David in the backyard teaching Ryan how to throw a ball. My throat tightened. David had been gone 10 years, but the pain of losing him still felt fresh some nights. The accident had been sudden, a rainy highway, a truck that crossed the line. The insurance payout had been enough to pay off the house and give each of the kids a good start. I had never questioned it. Why would I? But Mark's words from the phone call kept repeating. If she finds out what really happened with her father's money, everything falls apart. What really happened? Had there been more money than I knew about? Had David been hiding something from me all those years? A soft buzzing sound made me jump. My phone, on silent, lit up on the floor beside me. Ryan's name flashed on the screen. I answered it immediately, cupping my hand over my mouth and the phone. "Mom, are you in the attic?" His voice was still a whisper but urgent. "Yes," I breathed. "Mark tried the door a few minutes ago. He sounded normal, but I didn't answer." "Ryan, what is going on? He mentioned your father's money on a phone call. He said Sarah doesn't know the full story either." There was a long pause. I could hear Ryan breathing, maybe walking somewhere fast. "Listen to me carefully. I can't tell you everything over the phone, not yet, but Dad's accident, it wasn't just an accident. There was money involved, a lot of it, and Mark has been lying about where it came from for years. He's been using it, Mom, moving it around. Sarah thinks it was all clean insurance money, but it was. Dad got mixed up in something before he died, something illegal. Mark knows the truth because he helped cover it up. My head spun. Illegal? David had been a simple accountant, a family man who coached Little League on weekends. He loved us. He would. Ryan, that can't be right. Your father would never. Mom, please, I have proof. I've been investigating this quietly through work. Mark married Sarah because of the money trail. He needed to stay close to the family to keep control of it. If the truth comes out, he loses everything, and so does Sarah. She's been living off it without knowing. Tears slipped down my cheeks. My own daughter, living a life built on lies, and my son-in-law, the man I had welcomed into our home, had been playing us all along. I need you to stay hidden until I get there, Ryan continued. I'm driving now, but I'm still a few hours away. Do not confront Mark. He's desperate, and desperate people do dangerous things. Just stay quiet, I love you. The call ended before I could say anything more. I sat there in the dark, the photo album open on my lap to a picture of all four of us at the beach, smiling like nothing could ever break us. The betrayal cut deep, like a knife twisting in my chest. David, my husband, the man I had trusted with my life, had apparently hidden a terrible secret. Mark had built his whole marriage on it, and Sarah, my sweet girl, was caught in the middle without even knowing. I wiped my eyes and stood up, needing to move, to do something. That's when I noticed a small metal box tucked at the bottom of the trunk under the letters. I had never seen it before. My hands trembled as I opened it. Inside were old bank statements, folded neatly, with dates from right before David's accident, large deposits, numbers that didn't make sense for an accountant's salary, and a handwritten note in David's writing. For the kids, keep it quiet. Mark will handle the rest if anything happens to me. My stomach dropped. Mark had been involved even back then. I was still staring at the note when I heard the attic door handle rattle again, much harder this time. Then a loud thud, like a shoulder hitting the wood. Ellen, open the door, I know you're in there. We need to talk about Ryan's call. Mark's voice had lost its gentle tone. It was cold now, controlled, the sound of someone who was done pretending. I backed away from the door, clutching the metal box to my chest. My heart pounded so hard I could feel it in my ears. The wood around the lock started to splinter with another heavy hit. He was coming in, and I had nowhere left to hide. The attic door shook violently as Mark slammed his shoulder into it again. The old wood around the lock cracked louder this time, sending a shower of dust down from the rafters. I stumbled backward, the metal box still clutched tight against my chest like a shield. My back hit a stack of cardboard boxes, and one tumbled over, spilling old Christmas decorations across the floor with a noisy clatter. Ellen, stop this, Mark shouted, his voice no longer pretending to be worried. It was sharp and angry now. Open the damn door. You think hiding up there changes anything? I heard you talking on the phone. Ryan's filling your head with nonsense. I pressed myself into the far corner, heart hammering so hard it felt like it might burst. The simple wooden chair I had sat on earlier was the only thing between me and the door. I grabbed it and wedged it under the knob for whatever extra seconds it might buy me. My mind raced through every kind memory I had of Mark. The way he had carried my groceries when my back went out. The backyard barbecues where he flipped burgers and told funny stories about his first real estate deals. How he had looked at Sarah with what I thought was real love. All of it felt like a cruel joke now. Mark, please, I called out, my voice shaking but trying to sound calm. Just tell me what's going on. David's money, the accident. Ryan said it wasn't what we thought. Is that true? There was a pause in the pounding. For a second I hoped he might actually explain, might show some of that charm that had made me trust him. Instead he laughed, a short, bitter sound that sent chills down my spine. You really want the truth now after all these years? Fine, your perfect husband David wasn't so perfect. He got greedy, laundered money for some bad people through his accounting firm. Big cash deposits that looked like client payments but weren't. When things got too hot, he planned to run with a chunk of it. The accident, let's just say it was convenient for everyone involved. I helped clean up the mess afterward because Sarah was already in love with me by then. I needed to protect her, protect the family money. His words hit me like punches. David, my David, involved in something illegal, laundering money, planning to abandon us. I slid down the wall until I was sitting on the dusty floor, the metal box heavy in my lap. Tears burned hot paths down my cheeks. The man I had mourned for 10 years, the father who had taught our kids to ride bikes and read bedtime stories, had been living a double life. And Mark had known, had used it. Why marry Sarah then? I asked, my voice breaking. If it was just about the money, why pretend to love her all this time? Another thud against the door. The chair legs scraped across the floor but held for now. Because love and money can mix, Ellen. I did care about her at first, still do in my own way, but the money made it easier. Sarah never asked questions. She liked the nice house, the vacations, the life I gave her. Ryan's the problem, always poking around with his FBI badge thinking he's some hero. He found the old records last month, started digging too deep. If he brings this to light, Sarah loses everything she has. The house, the savings, her reputation. She'll hate me. Hate all of us. I thought about my daughter, sweet Sarah with her kind eyes and quick laugh. She was away on that work trip, probably thinking everything was normal. How many times had I told her she was lucky to have Mark? How many family photos showed us all smiling together, pretending we were whole? The door splintered more. I could see a thin line of light from the hallway now through the growing gap. Mark was breathing hard on the other side. Open up, Mom, we can fix this together. Ryan doesn't have to know the full story. I can make sure the money stays safe for Sarah. For you too. You don't want your daughter destroyed over something her father did years ago, do you? His use of Mom felt like a slap. It was the same word he had used at Thanksgiving when he carved the turkey and thanked me for raising such a wonderful daughter. Now it sounded mocking, like he was trying to pull the same strings he always had. I wiped my face and stood up slowly. My legs felt weak, but anger was starting to mix with the fear. This man had betrayed my family in the worst way. He had built his life on my husband's secrets and my daughter's trust, and he still thought he could talk his way out of it. I trusted you, Mark, I said louder now. I let you into our home, into our lives. You called me family. Was any of it real? The pounding stopped for a moment. When he spoke again, his voice was quieter, almost tired. Some of it was, but survival changes people. David taught me that the hard way. He wanted out, but they wouldn't let him. I stepped in to protect what was left, for Sarah, for all of us. I looked down at the metal box in my hands. The bank statements and that handwritten note from David felt like proof of everything Ryan had said. My husband had known he was in danger. He had trusted Mark to handle things if something happened to him. What a terrible mistake that had been. Suddenly my phone buzzed again in my pocket. I pulled it out carefully. It was a text from Ryan. Mom, I'm 2 hours out. Stay hidden. I called a friend at the local PD. They're sending someone to check on the house quietly. Don't engage with Mark, he's more dangerous than you think. I typed back with trembling fingers. He's trying to break into the attic. He admitted things about your father. I'm scared. No reply came right away. Mark hit the door again, harder. The chair slid a few inches. The gap was wide enough now that I could see part of his face through the splintered wood. His eyes looked wild in the dim hallway light. Ellen, this is your last chance. Open the door or I'll make this messy for everyone. Sarah will be home tomorrow. You want her walking into a nightmare. The mention of Sarah made my stomach twist. My daughter, caught between her husband's lies and her father's secrets. She deserved better than both of them, better than me for not seeing any of this sooner. I backed away toward the small attic window, wondering if I could open it and call for help. The neighborhood was quiet at this hour, but maybe a neighbor would hear. My fingers fumbled with the dusty latch. That's when I heard another sound. Not from the door, from downstairs. A car door slamming in the driveway, then footsteps on the front porch. Heavy, official-sounding knocks on the main door. Mr. Mark Thompson, local police, open up, we need to talk. Mark cursed under his breath. The pressure on the attic door stopped immediately. I heard him moving quickly down the hallway, then the stairs. Coming, he called out, his voice shifting back to that smooth, friendly tone in an instant. Is everything okay, officers? I stayed frozen by the window, listening as Mark opened the front door and started talking to the police. He sounded calm, almost relieved. My mother-in-law is a bit upset tonight. Family stuff. Ryan called and got her worried. You know how it is. The officers asked a few questions, their voices low. I couldn't make out every word, but Mark was spinning it well, playing the concerned son-in-law. My phone buzzed again. Ryan this time, a quick call. Mom, the police are there. Stay in the attic until I arrive. Do not come down. Mark will try to twist this. He always does. I know, I whispered. He told me about your father, about the money laundering. Ryan, your dad was going to leave us. There was pain in Ryan's sigh. We'll talk when I get there, just hold on. The truth is coming out tonight, one way or another. Downstairs, the conversation continued. Mark laughed at something one of the officers said, that easy laugh I had heard 1,000 times, but I knew now it was all performance. I looked at the metal box again, the evidence of my husband's betrayal and Mark's deeper involvement. The family I thought I knew was crumbling around me. David had chosen secrets over us. Mark had chosen money over truth. And Sarah, she was about to have her whole world shattered when she returned. The police seemed satisfied for now. I heard the front door close and Mark's footsteps coming back up the stairs, slower this time. He stopped outside the attic door again. They're gone, Ellen, but this isn't over. Ryan can bring all the cops he wants. I've protected this family for years. I won't let him destroy it now. His voice dropped to a dangerous whisper. And if you side with him, you might not like what happens when Sarah finds out her own mother turned against her husband. I clutched the box tighter, anger burning through the fear. This man had stolen years of truth from us. He had built a life on my family's pain. Whatever Ryan had planned, I was ready to help see it through. Because some betrayals cut too deep to forgive, and some truths demanded to be spoken, no matter how much they hurt. But as Mark walked away downstairs, I realized with a sinking feeling that Sarah's car lights were pulling into the driveway earlier than expected. She wasn't supposed to be back until tomorrow. My daughter was home, and she was walking straight into the middle of it all. Sarah's car door slammed shut downstairs, the sound cutting through the quiet house like a warning bell. I froze by the attic window, still holding the metal box with all its terrible secrets. My heart, which had barely slowed from Mark's attempt to break in, started racing again. She wasn't supposed to be back until tomorrow morning. Why had she come home early? Had Mark called her? Or had she sensed something was wrong? I pressed my ear closer to the floor crack, trying to catch every word. Sarah's voice floated up from the living room, tired but concerned. Mark, Mom, what's going on? There's a police car pulling away down the street. Did something happen? Mark's reply came smooth and quick, that practiced warmth back in full force. Hey babe, you're home early, everything's fine. Your mom got a little worked up after Ryan called her tonight. You know how he can be with his FBI stories. I was just checking on her. She's resting upstairs now. I wanted to scream down to her to warn her, but Ryan's words kept me silent. Do not engage with Mark. He's more dangerous than you think. Still, hearing my daughter's voice so close made my chest ache. Sarah had always been the gentle one, the peacemaker. She had believed in love and family the way I once did. Now she was about to learn that her marriage, her security, even her memories of her father were built on sand. Mom, Sarah called up the stairs, her footsteps starting to climb. Are you okay? Mark said you were upset about Dad or something. Talk to me. I stayed quiet, my hands shaking as I set the metal box down. The attic door was damaged, splintered around the lock from Mark's shoulder. If she came all the way up, she would see it. She would know something was very wrong. Mark's voice followed her up. Sarah, honey, let her rest, it's late. We can sort this out in the morning. Ryan's on his way over, apparently making a big deal out of nothing. Come on, let's go to bed. You look exhausted from the trip. There was a pause. I could imagine Sarah standing at the bottom of the attic stairs, her brow furrowed the way it did when she was worried about me. No, I want to see her. Mom's never like this. If Ryan called at midnight, there must be a reason. Ryan doesn't exaggerate. Their voices moved closer. I backed away from the crack, my foot catching on one of the spilled Christmas ornaments. A glass bauble rolled across the floor and knocked against a box with a soft tink. Sarah's footsteps stopped right outside the damaged door. Mom, the door looks broken. What happened? Mark was right behind her. I could hear the tension in his quick breathing. Probably just old wood. The house is getting older, babe. Ellen, you in there? Sarah's worried. I swallowed hard and finally spoke, keeping my voice as steady as I could. Sarah, sweetheart, I'm okay. Just go downstairs with Mark for now. We'll talk when Ryan gets here. It's important. There are things about your father, things we didn't know. Mark cut in fast. See, she's fine. Come on, Sarah. Let's not make this bigger than it is. But Sarah wasn't moving. Mom, you sound scared. Open the door. I need to see you. The love in her voice broke something inside me. This was my little girl, the one who used to crawl into my bed during thunderstorms, the one who had cried on my shoulder the day her father died. How could I let her stay married to a man who had lied to her for years? How could I stay silent when the truth was about to tear her apart? Sarah, listen to me, I said, moving closer to the door but not opening it. Your father's accident wasn't what we thought. There was money involved, illegal money. Mark knows more than he's telling us. Ryan has proof. Please, just wait for your brother. Don't let Mark talk you out of this. The silence that followed was heavy. I could almost feel the shock through the splintered wood. Mark's voice turned sharp. Ellen, that's enough. You're confusing her with Ryan's conspiracy theories. Sarah, your mom is tired and emotional. David was a good man. He left us enough to live comfortably. That's all. Sarah spoke slowly, her voice trembling now. Mark, what is she talking about? Illegal money? From Dad? You never mentioned anything like that. I could hear the doubt creeping in, the first crack in the trust she had placed in him. It hurt to cause her pain, but staying quiet would hurt her more in the long run. Mark tried to laugh it off, but it sounded forced. Babe, come on. Your brother works for the FBI. He sees criminals everywhere. He's probably stressed from a case and taking it out on the family. Let's go downstairs and have some tea. Your mom will calm down by morning. But Sarah wasn't buying it. No, Mom, open the door. I want to see you. If there's something about Dad I deserve to know, we all do. Her hand touched the damaged door. The wood shifted slightly. I reached for the chair I had wedged under the knob earlier and held it steady. Sarah, I love you, I said, tears filling my eyes. That's why I can't come out yet. Mark has been hiding things. He admitted some of it to me tonight. He married you partly because of the money trail. Your father was laundering money before he died and Mark helped cover it up afterward. The life we've had, some of it wasn't clean. Sarah gasped. Mark, is that true? Tell me she's wrong. Mark's tone changed again, becoming softer, pleading. Sarah, honey, your mother is mixed up. I would never hurt you. I love you. Everything I did was to protect our family. David got in over his head with some clients. I stepped in to make sure you and Ryan didn't lose the house or the savings. It was for you. The betrayal in Sarah's voice cut deep when she answered. For me, or for yourself, you knew about this and never told me. We built our whole marriage on this. The vacations, the house, even the way you proposed. Was any of it real, or was it all tied to Dad's dirty money? I could hear her starting to cry. The sound tore at me. My strong, beautiful daughter was breaking right there in the hallway, and I was trapped behind a door, unable to hold her. Mark tried one more time. Sarah, please, let's talk privately. Your mom is emotional because Ryan is feeding her lies. Come downstairs with me. No, Sarah said firmly, though her voice shook. Mom, I'm staying right here until Ryan arrives. I need the truth, all of it. Dad was supposed to be our hero. You and him, you gave us a good life. If that was built on lies, I need to know why. Footsteps sounded from the front door downstairs. Ryan's voice boomed up the stairs, strong and clear. Sarah, Mom, I'm here. Police are outside too. Mark, step away from the attic door. This ends tonight. Relief flooded through me. My son had made it. The one who had warned me, the one who had dug for the truth even when it hurt. But Mark wasn't done. I heard him move quickly, and then his voice turned cold and threatening. Ryan, you should have stayed out of this. You think bringing cops changes anything? I protected this family when your father couldn't. One word from me to the wrong people, and the whole money trail comes back on all of us. Sarah included. You want your sister to lose everything because of your hero complex. Ryan's reply was steady. The proof is already with my superiors, Mark. The laundering, the cover-up, your involvement in moving the funds after Dad died. It's over. Step away from my mother and sister. Sarah spoke up, her voice stronger now despite the tears. Mark, did you really marry me for the money? Was our life together just a way to control it? The pain in her question hung in the air. I wanted to open the door and pull her into my arms, to tell her she was worth so much more than any lie. Mark hesitated, then his voice came low and bitter. I cared about you, Sarah. But yes, the money made it easier. Your father left instructions with me. I followed them to keep the family safe. If that's betrayal, then your precious dad betrayed all of you first by getting involved in the first place. Those words landed like stones. David's hidden truth, Mark's calculated lies, Sarah's shattered trust. Everything was spilling out in the hallway outside the attic. I finally pushed the chair away and unlocked the damaged door. It swung open with a groan. Sarah stood there, eyes red and wide with shock. Mark looked cornered, his usual charm gone, replaced by raw desperation. Ryan was at the top of the stairs now, 2 police officers behind him. "Mom," Sarah whispered, stepping forward to hug me tightly. Her body shook with sobs. "Is it all true, Dad, Mark, everything?" I held her close, stroking her hair like I did when she was little. "Yes, sweetheart, but we're going to face it together, no more secrets." Mark backed away toward the stairs, his eyes darting between us. "You're making a mistake, all of you. The money kept this family afloat. Without it, you'd have lost the house years ago." Ryan shook his head, his face hard but sad. "No, Mark, truth keeps a family afloat. Lies sink it. You chose the lie every day you stayed silent." One of the officers stepped forward. "Mark Thompson, we need you to come with us for questioning regarding financial crimes and possible involvement in covering up illegal activities." As the officers moved in, Mark looked at Sarah one last time, his expression a mix of regret and anger. "I did love you in my way. I just wanted us to have the life your father threw away." Sarah pulled away from me and faced him, her voice quiet but firm. "Love doesn't build on lies, Mark. You stole my trust. You stole my memories of Dad. I don't know who you are anymore." Mark was led downstairs, protesting quietly, the charm finally stripped away. Ryan came over and put his arm around both of us, his presence steady like it had always been. But as we stood there in the damaged hallway, the weight of the night pressing down, I realized the real pain was just beginning for Sarah. She would have to rebuild her life from the ashes of 2 betrayals, her father's and her husband's. And I would have to live with the fact that I had welcomed the wolf into our home without seeing the teeth. The truth had finally come out, raw and ugly. But with it came a chance for something honest, even if it hurt like nothing else ever had. The police car lights flashed red and blue against the living room windows as Mark was led outside in handcuffs. I stood at the top of the stairs with my arm around Sarah, feeling her tremble against me. Ryan stayed close, his hand on my shoulder, grounding us both. The house that had always felt like a safe haven now echoed with the heavy footsteps of officers and the low murmur of official voices. Everything we thought we knew about our family had shattered in a single night, but at least the pretending was over. Sarah watched through the window as Mark was placed in the back of the patrol car. Her face was pale, streaked with dried tears, but there was a new strength in her eyes. "He kept saying he did it for me," she whispered. "For us. But all those years, every anniversary dinner, every time he said he loved me, it was tied to Dad's secrets. How do I even begin to forgive that?" I pulled her closer and kissed the top of her head. "You don't have to forgive anything right now, sweetheart. Betrayal like this cuts deep. Your father hid the truth because he was scared and greedy. Mark used that fear to build his own life on top of it. They both chose silence over honesty, but you don't have to carry their choices anymore." Ryan nodded, his voice tired but steady. "The full picture is clear now. Dad started laundering money for a client 10 years ago. It started small, extra cash to cover bills, but it grew. He got in too deep and wanted out. That's when he made the note in the metal box, the one Mom found in the attic. He told Mark the plan. If anything happened to him, Mark should move the remaining funds quietly and make sure the family stayed comfortable. Mark didn't just follow the instructions. He expanded it. He used the connections to keep the money flowing and married Sarah to stay close to the source. He needed control." Sarah wiped her eyes and looked at her brother. "So Dad's accident, was it really an accident?" Ryan hesitated, then shook his head slowly. "The investigation is reopening, but early signs suggest it might have been arranged by the people Dad was working with. They didn't want him talking. Mark knew enough to stay quiet and profit from it. He never told any of us because the truth would have ended his access to the money and ruined his marriage." I sat down on the couch, pulling Sarah with me. The living room felt different now, like the walls themselves had been listening to our family's lies for years. Photos on the mantel showed happier times. David smiling with the kids at the lake, Mark and Sarah on their wedding day, all of us at Christmas with matching sweaters. Those smiles hurt to look at now. "I trusted Mark completely," I said softly. "He called me Mom. He fixed things around the house. He made me feel like the family was whole again after your father died. But he was protecting his own secret the whole time, and I never saw it. That's on me too." Ryan sat across from us, leaning forward with his elbows on his knees. "None of this is on you, Mom. Dad made his choices. Mark made his. They both wanted the easy path. Dad wanted quick money to give us a better life without the hard work. Mark wanted the lifestyle without earning it honestly. They hid the truth because facing it would have meant losing everything they valued most: comfort, control, and the image of a perfect family." Sarah stared at her hands for a long moment. I loved him, not just the money or the house. I loved the man I thought he was, the one who remembered my favorite flowers and danced with me in the kitchen. Now I wonder if any of that was real or just part of keeping the secret safe. And Dad, I used to visit his grave and tell him how much I missed him, how proud I was to be his daughter. Now I feel like I didn't even know him. Her voice cracked and fresh tears fell. I took her hands in mine. The pain is real, Sarah, but so is the love we still have for each other. Your father made terrible mistakes, but he also raised two good kids who are brave enough to face the truth. Mark's betrayal was calculated, but it doesn't erase the years you spent believing in love. You get to decide what parts of your life were real and what you want to rebuild. Ryan reached over and squeezed her shoulder. The consequences are coming. Mark will face charges for financial crimes and possible conspiracy. The dirty money will be seized, but the house is in Mom's name and paid for cleanly years ago. We'll lose some things, but we won't lose each other. I've already talked to my contacts. There's a victim restitution process, but more importantly, we get our honesty back. I looked at both my children, their faces tired and raw but no longer hidden behind comfortable lies. The real lesson here is that silence and secrets destroy families faster than any mistake ever could. Your father chose to hide instead of trusting us with the truth. Mark chose to lie every single day to keep his grip on the money. We almost lost each other because of it. But tonight the truth came out, painful as it was. And truth, even when it hurts, gives us a chance to heal and build something real. Sarah nodded slowly, wiping her face. I don't know who I am without the life I thought I had, but I know I don't want to live with more lies. I'll file for divorce in the morning. I want a clean start, even if it means starting over with less. That's my girl, I said, smiling through my own tears. We'll figure it out together, the three of us, no more hiding, no more pretending everything is fine when it is. Ryan stood up and pulled us both into a hug. For the first time in years, it felt like we were truly a family again, not because we had money or perfect stories, but because we had chosen honesty. As the police cars finally drove away and the house grew quiet, I thought about the long road ahead. There would be lawyers, questions from friends, sleepless nights for Sarah as she grieved the marriage she thought was real. I would have to forgive myself for not seeing the signs sooner. Ryan would keep working to make sure justice was served, but through it all, we would talk openly. We would remember the good parts of David without excusing the bad. And we would remind each other that trust is something you earn every day, not something you assume. Months later, the three of us sat on the back porch on a warm evening. Sarah had moved back home temporarily while she started a new job. The house felt lighter without the weight of secrets. We laughed about old family stories, the silly ones where David burned dinner or Ryan tried to teach Sarah to pitch a baseball and ended up with a black eye. The pain was still there, but it no longer controlled us. Sarah looked at me and Ryan and said quietly, I used to think love meant never hurting each other. Now I know real love means telling the truth even when it hurts. Thank you both for not letting me stay in the dark. I smiled and squeezed her hand. That's the lesson we learned the hard way. Secrets might feel safe in the moment, but they poison everything over time. Truth hurts at first, but it sets us free in the end. And family, real family, stays through the pain and helps you rebuild. Ryan raised his glass of iced tea in a small toast. To no more midnight phone calls full of fear, to choosing honesty even when it's hard. We clinked our glasses together, the sound simple and clear in the quiet night. The betrayal had been deep, the pain had been real. The revenge wasn't loud or dramatic, it was quiet and meaningful, the decision to speak the truth, to let the lies die and to rebuild our family on something solid. Mark lost his freedom and the life he had stolen. David's secrets finally rested with him, but we gained each other back, stronger because we refused to keep hiding. In the end, that was the real victory. If you enjoyed this story of family, truth and hard-won healing, please like, comment what lesson stayed with you the most, and subscribe for more heartfelt tales. It means the world.